Hi, I'm Scoot. This is the subscribers, and my first goal was 400. All right, you think we can make it 425? Let's try to get to 425. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Wednesday and Saturday are the truth behind the microphone, and that's when I share something about radio or something about my show or me. There's stuff like kind of behind the microphone, behind the scenes kind of stuff. So yeah, I try to reveal some things about talk radio, social media, and the media, having been involved in this business for a long time and having studied it and paid attention to it over the years. And it kind of scares me that there are a lot of people in the business that don't really totally understand it. Shatney, thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I mean, like, this is really cool. Made it to 400. Hit over 400. So let's try for 450. Let's make the next goal is going to be 450. And I'm very proud to tell you that I have ordered a few pieces for a set, a couple of items for a set. And so we're going to build a small little simple set here for the YouTube channel, for Facebook, and for Instagram. And also I have mugs in. Yes, we have souvenir mugs from the show that are now available on my website, which is Scoot on the Air. And we worked out the cost. I'm basically breaking even on the mugs. They're $15, but that because I couldn't buy them in mass quantities. So the more I buy, the less it's going to cost. But right now, that's what we had to charge between buying the mugs and paying for the shipping to get it delivered. About breaking even at $15 a mug. But I would be so happy for any of you to buy a mug from Scoot on the Air, SOTA. Nora says, good evening, Scoot. Good evening, Nora. Good evening to all of you who are tuning in. So I want to share with you, this is going to be Manic Monday. And it was Manic Monday on my radio show today on WWL. And by the way, if there's anything about this that you like, anything about me that you think you might be interested in, you can become a subscriber here to our YouTube channel. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Scoot on the Air, and I'm on WWL Radio in New Orleans, 870 AM, 105.3 FM in the New Orleans Gulf South area. And you can also download the app, radio.com, and just type in WWL, and I'm on the air from 1 to 4 in the afternoon on WWL. And it's a politics and pop culture and your opinions. And you'll either love me or hate me, sometimes within the course of 1 hour. Anyway, I love what I do. It's fun. I am a registered independent. I describe myself as a radical moderate. I've got opinions on everything, but I don't view everything through the same myopic political perspective. And that brings me to Manic Monday and the caller that called in the show today. There's no need to say her name. There's no need to say where she's calling in from, because I don't want you to judge everybody from that state by her. But this is, to me, a perfect example of the hate-driven, maniacal BS rhetoric that's coming out of the mouths, from the brains of people, from their brains coming out of their mouths. So this woman calls in and she's mad at me. And this was one of the first calls I had on the show today. And she's mad. And she wants to know why they're taking down the statues and why they are doing this and why they are doing that. And she goes off into these rants, and I'm just letting her go. So, nobody can bore me with the details that I don't let opposing views talk, because I do. In fact, I did a whole episode here, The Truth Behind the Microphone, on what it would be like if we just screened the calls, just took calls with people that agree with me, and kind of do it along the lines of, everybody's like-minded, like Limbaugh, like Hannity, or we can just be scattered. I can be this crazy independent, and we can just take calls from all different directions, which I do. I read the text. I read more of the texts that are negative about me on my radio show than the positive text, because it's more fun. I mean, it's just the conflict is more fun than love your show, agree with everything that you say. I mean, that's great. I get a lot of those, but it's not fun to read those. It's more fun to read the ones that disagree. But just know that there's a disproportionate amount of attention sometimes given to those who disagree with me, because that's what creates the conflict on the air. So this woman calls up, and she's just, it's like she's been waiting for me to get on the air, and she's just angry. And I forget all the things that she was angry about, but she was just an angry woman. And she wanted to know why did they take down the Peyton Manning statue? Why did they tear it down? Why did they tear down the Peyton Manning statue? And she said, did they tear it down because he's white? And that's exactly the way she said it. That was her mentality. Well, I said, I didn't hear anything about that. Yeah, they tore it down. They tore it down. It's because he's white. Didn't know anything about it. So my senior studio producer, myself, Ian Hoke, we checked during a break. You know what we found out about the tearing down of the Peyton Manning statue? Nothing. Zero. It wasn't taken down. It wasn't torn down. But Ian found a couple of people in social media talking about taking it down. This is the problem. Here is somebody who is picking up, and I talk about this a lot, and they do it on the left too. But we're talking about this woman today. Here's a woman who is picking up right-wing talking points and spewing it out as if it is true, and it's not. And this insults the intelligence of every conservative, of every Republican in America. She was convinced, because of what she heard on social media, that the Peyton Manning statue had been taken down, and she wanted to bitch about that. She wanted to bitch about it because it was a chance for her to criticize those people who take down statues. Hey, DJ Wick. Also, Shadney says, crazy woman, not all there. Oh, I got a lot of texts about her. I got a lot of texts about the fact that she was maybe consuming alcohol or on something. And I said on my radio show that it's really not fair to suggest that, because there are a lot of people who are totally sober who think like her. And I've had a few of these calls recently where it's about nonsense. And so here's a woman going around and spreading this, and she's even calling a local talk show host, me. She's calling me to get mad at me because people took down the Peyton Manning statue, and they didn't take it down. So this woman's world is delusional. Delusional. And I'll go ahead and say it, there are people on the left delusional too. This woman who called in also was very critical of the fact that she had a relative who was in the military, who fought for our country. And she was mad that they, and it turned out to be Nancy Pelosi, and they said, well, Nancy Pelosi gave an American flag to the family of George Floyd, the guy who was kneed to death in Minneapolis. And she was outraged and angry that Nancy Pelosi gave him this flag that should only be used to honor veterans. Well, I did a little research into that, and here's what I found out. Nancy Pelosi did present George Floyd's brother with a did not present him with a special service flag. The special service flag is meant for honoring those who died in the military or first responders. It's a special service flag. And this woman was bitching that they gave his family a special flag. They didn't. Nancy Pelosi did give the brother of George Floyd a flag that flew over the Capitol the day he died. Big difference. And I'll correct this on the show tomorrow, about the same time the woman called. And I'd love for her to call in again. And sometimes I just like to just let these people go. Sometimes it's just so insane, you just got to end the conversation. Look, I've got a lot of great listeners. I've got a lot of listeners that agree with me and welcome the opportunity for talk radio to not be right-wing. I mean, where's your sense of being in America? I mean, who said right-wing ideology owns talk radio? It's bogus. Here's a comment from Jana. Scoot, you rock. Jana, you rock, and I appreciate that. Had a guy send me a text today, and he said, I agree with you about half the time. I don't call you very often, but I watched your last Thursday night dance on 80s Night, and he said, loved it. So, yeah, I mean, that's just a stupid, fun thing to do. Look, when it comes to callers on my show, they're for entertainment purposes only. And they don't reflect the overall audience. They reflect some people in the audience who are sitting with their phones. They're sitting there with their phones, and they've got the number all typed out. All out. And their fingers on the send button. And they're waiting for me to say something. And either they're going to call or they're going to send a text. Boom! They hit the send button. I mean, they're just sitting there waiting for me to just say one little thing. You know, one guy was complaining about the 13 killings in New Orleans over the weekend. Well, I mean, everybody can make a mistake. There were 13 shootings. I think 3 people were killed. Still too many. And if the thugs were a better shot, there might have been 13 dead. And just now on my Instagram account, Scoot on the Air, I said, who speaks for the 7-year-old girl in Chicago and the 8-year-old girl in Atlanta who were shot and killed this weekend? Who speaks for them? I want to speak for them. It's not just black on black crime. It's human on human crime. And let's stop keeping score. And so many people are keeping score. Well, more blacks do this. Well, more whites do this. Let's not keep score. Let's just try to figure out the problem. And on my Facebook page, Scoot on the Air, there is a video posted, and you can respond to this and be part of this conversation, about how changing the names of things and bringing down statues doesn't change people. It's an overall gesture as to what kind of society we are, but it doesn't change people. And it's not going to stop crime. And it's not going to create jobs. It's not going to do anything but, again, present a gesture. So anyway, you can become part of that conversation if you want to. But I love the woman who was so maniacal about the Peyton Manning statue being taken down, and she's totally wrong. And I get calls like that. Like the guy last week who called the show, or the week before. I think it was the week before maybe. And he picked up a conservative talking point. And I'm glad we get to set the record straight on this, because this is what happens. People pick up talking points and they just repeat them. They're parrots. You know, parrots don't really, well, I don't want to insult any bird owners because birds are really, really intelligent. But parrots don't think about what they're saying. They repeat it. They might respond to a certain situation, but they're not thinking about what they say. They're just repeating it. So this guy picked up what was a conservative talking point 2 weeks ago, which is, if I lose my right not to wear a mask, then I'm losing a right, and they're chipping away at our rights. And when I start getting texts that say that, when I start getting calls that say that, or something else, I know that somebody from conservative media, somebody has picked this up from conservative media, and they're just repeating it. And so this guy goes into this whole thing about how they're chipping away at our rights. We're losing our rights. I said, okay, well, what rights have you lost? He couldn't name one. And then he said, oh, well, I guess I wasn't prepared to be on the radio with you. You don't have to be prepared, but if you are so passionate that we're losing our rights, I would think that you would already have in mind some rights that we've lost. And I know that there are some restrictions to our rights. That is part of judging the Constitution. Nothing is totally pure. But, again, that's one of the interesting things about my show. It's that people are just looking for opportunities to bitch and complain and get angry at me. And they think they're just getting angry at the whole other side. And again, I'm independent. I don't belong to either political tribe. I want to thank all of you for your comments. Hey, DJ Wick says you nailed it. Thank you, DJ Wick. And thank all of you for your comments here. And thank you for being with me. I hope you subscribe to this. We want to get, our next goal is a 450. We hit it. We hit the 400 mark. We're at 404 right before I went on the air here. So this is my YouTube channel, Scoot on the Air. And I have ordered some things because everything is just so backlogged. There's so much stuff being shipped that it's taking a little bit longer to get stuff even on Amazon Prime. So within a couple of weeks, we should start to have some stuff for a little bit of a studio here. DMacU says, I'm curious if the number of incoming calls has increased since the city has been on shutdown. Keep them coming on. Many days, yes. But my show's always really active with calls, so I don't know if it's really changed that much. But what has changed since the pandemic started is the anger has ramped up. And I guess people are frustrated with everything. And I told the woman, I said, well, why don't you if you're upset with Nancy Pelosi, why the hell did you call me? Why don't you call Nancy Pelosi? Oh, yeah, I'll call Nancy Pelosi. She's being sarcastic. But seriously, one of the things about a local radio talk show host is that you are accessible. They can reach you. They can complain to you about anything and everything. They can't get to the people they're really mad at. And the other thing that I noticed too, and this is just so typical, when people can't, oh, I know. And this woman also said, she said, well, President Trump wears a mask when he's around people. I said, well, how do you know that? Have you seen pictures of it? No, he said so. Okay, so you believe everything the president says? And I even said on the air to this caller, after the call, it occurred to me that, ma'am, if you believe everything President Trump says, please do not inject bleach into your body, because that's not good. I know. Then there was the biggest this and the biggest that, and it's factually true. Look, let's just all accept these politicians for who and what they are. And I said on Instagram just now that there are some commercials that President Trump is running, very effective commercials against Joe Biden. And once again, for the second election in a row, the Democrats don't have a strong candidate, don't have a strong leader. Shame on the Democrats. And because of that, Trump may be reelected. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen, but it might. But coronavirus numbers are on the rise. Hate and anger also on the rise. I'm Scoot. Thank you for being with me. Join me on my Facebook page tomorrow around 9 o'clock, 9:15 or so. Live. We'll go on Facebook tomorrow for a daily Scoot on the Air Facebook live cast. And then I'm on Instagram live, and I'm posting. I'm getting a schedule for posting and doing stuff under stories. So I hope you'll join me. And thank you for joining me here on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. And one day we'll ramp this up a little bit and have, it's not going to be a fancy set, but just a little bit more of a set so you don't see my kitchen in the background. I mean, I love my plants, so maybe I'll sell some plants in it. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And, if you enjoy any of this conversation, share it with your friends and subscribe. This is the Scoot and Leo YouTube channel. I'm Scoot. Have a good night.